Purpose. What is purpose? How do you know you found your purpose? Are you searching for your purpose? We're going to be talking about finding your purpose today. This book, Finding Your Purpose, Living on Purpose Rather Than on Accident. We have several experts that have come forward to share their story, their message, their mission of how they found their own purpose, and also to inspire you to find your own. I'm going to bring up one of our authors. We have Laura Diaz with us today. Laura, it's so good to see you. And I just love that you participated in this book, Finding Your Purpose. How's everything going today?
Thank you, Linda. It's going very well. And thank you for asking me to be part of this book, because purpose has been a strong thing for me, developing as a professional and as a person. So I enjoyed, writing about this, and really gave me some insights about my own purpose as I was putting the chapter together for the book.
Well, let's talk about, purpose. Like what does purpose mean to you, and how do you know, like how does a person know that they found their purpose? Oh, we'll start there and then I'll go to my next question.
Okay. Okay. Well, sometimes you don't know if you have found your purpose, but one of the things that I've discovered is that when you feel strong and pretty much about something that you want to do, something that brings you alive, that just kind of lifts your spirit, that you want to engage, then you know that that may be a lead to a purpose. But at the initial time, like in my story, I wasn't clear if that was my purpose. But something was nudging me to something else that I was not clear about. And sometimes our intuitive selves will nudge us that to something else, very quietly will nudge us, and we're not clear what that is. But when we discover our purpose, what we are meant to do or be, we have a sense of certainty inside, a sense of security, a sense of confidence, a sense of this is it. It's kind of like your home. That's when you realize that I'm living the purpose, the internal purpose for me. That's when I discovered that.
Okay, I got to talk about those nudges, because sometimes those nudges are like little gentle nudges, and sometimes they're really big, heavy nudges, right? So how do
Yeah.
you know? How do you know when that nudge is? Because a lot of times in life, something is nudging us, but it's bringing up some fear, right? It's bringing up some anxiety. So how do
Yes.
we know that that nudge is not protecting us from something bad, or if that nudge is sending us the other way and saying this is something you need to do? How do we know?
Well, that's a good question to look at that, because the nudge that was nudging me was there for a couple of years. I didn't listen to it right away, but I was in a safe place. I had a good job. I was secure, but something was kind of nudging me internally and saying, giving me the feeling it was time to go. It was time to change. Did I know mentally, rationally what it was? No. Did I know where to go? No. But it kept coming every so often. It kept coming, sort of kind of nudging me that it was time to go. But when I realized that it really was time to go, is that when I said, okay, let me explore this and let me get an example what it means to move in this other professional, this career that I seem to, feel I'm drawn to it, which was coaching. And so when I experienced looking at coaching students at the program that I was intending of applying for, and I had a strong intuitive feeling that said, yes, home, this feels like home. And it was one of those feelings you can't debate with, that you can't argue with. When you feel anchored with a feeling like you're home, you just go from there.
That's so good. I wrote down a couple notes here. One of the things you mentioned was, I was secure. We have this security, and oftentimes security prevents us from doing something that we maybe are like being called to, right? Because you kept being called to it for a couple of years, And then there
Yeah.
was something that kind of snapped for you. And what was that moment or do you remember that moment that snapped for you? Is like, oh, this is what I should be doing.
Yeah. When I kept being drawn to that area of change, but I started working with a coach. I didn't do it alone because I wasn't sure how to explore and navigate how to look at these nuggets. So I worked with a coach for about 5, 6 months. And so she helped me navigate, the nudges, the intuitive self, what else seems to draw me. And when I said, I think I want to explore being a life coach like what you're doing, it seems to intrigue me. And so I explored a training source here in San Diego. And when I was there, just the feeling of being there, it felt like I was home, that I had come to a place I was supposed to be. Did I know everything about it? No. Did I have the money to start training? No. I just knew that this was the place.
That's so good because my life coach, did the same for me as well, just on a different track than yours, because you now do coaching with people. And so we're
Correct.
talking about the book, Finding Your Purpose, Living on Purpose Rather Than on Accident, with one of our authors today, Laura Diaz. And we're just talking about her journey to finding her own purpose. And so, Laura, when we talk about, purpose, and you did move into life coaching, and your company is In Harmony Coaching, you can connect with Laura at inharmonycoaching.com. So what was it? So you work with a life coach. Mine was 5 months, yours was 5 or 6 months. And then you're like, okay, I'm starting to move into this different, like, beliefs of myself, and different, like, deliverables, things that I can do. And so what was it that made you decide that this is what I'm going to do? Because, like, we're thinking about it, but what made you actually take the action to jump into those coaching certifications and all that stuff?
The feeling, the intuitiveness inside of us that says this feels right, even though I don't rationally, intellectually know too much about it. It just feels right. I'm being drawn to this, and it feels right. So I'm going to trust it, because have been building my intuitive self through spiritual principles and faith. And I said, this feels right. So I'm going, and I'll explore what's going to come out. And so I was willing. But you know what, Linda? It takes courage to trust that, because it's invisible. You don't see it. You can't really see it. But it's a feeling that we all have. But many of us are not taught to really use that as a guide for us to move towards.
That's so true, because again, that fear, I broke through a fear every day for a year, so I know a little bit about fear, but that fear can stop us and debilitate us from moving forward. And so with your In Harmony Coaching, how'd you come up with that name? Because I love how, because it's like being in harmony. This is how I hear it. And so I'm curious, like, how did you come up with that name for your coaching business?
Well, when I was in the coach training business, we had a session on how to identify your purpose. And so we had a session on how to identify purpose. We did some exercises. And so when I came down to what mattered to me is to live in joy and harmony. That's where I got the name In Harmony, because that was what mattered to me for myself and other people, to live with joy and harmony. And I said, later on, I said, I'm going to call my business In Harmony Coaching.
I love how it came, it comes from, like, there's a process to get
Yes.
there. And so you went through that process to get there. That's fantastic. Now I'm
Yeah, all
curious.
the pieces come. Yeah. All
Yeah.
the pieces
Yeah.
come in the process. Yeah.
And you have to listen to them, right?
Correct.
That's one of the keys there. So now in the book, Finding Your Purpose, you write your chapter. Don't give it away, like what your chapter is about or anything, but wait, wrong one. The title of your chapter is Living on Purpose. And you mentioned earlier how you went through this process of learning how to find your purpose. And I'm sure you help your clients with this today, but how did you know, like, how did you, like, have that inner knowing that I am living my purpose?
Because as I continue being in that space of coaching and now teaching students classes on personal enrichment, I feel a sense of joy. I feel a sense of harmony. I feel a sense of clarity and focus for myself, and creativity, because I start creating new classes. So I know, because I'm in those elements, that I'm on purpose.
You know what you just reminded me of is I spent many years, every job I ever had, I had 49 jobs, and every job I had, I was always the trainer, like the computer trainer. And you just reminded me of those aha moments that I would have at work, that if I was training somebody on something and they didn't get it, they didn't understand, I would just shift the way I explained it. until they understood it. I was able to speak their language. This is something I learned, I don't know, just at a very young age. And I remember saying, like, there's nothing quite like seeing somebody have that aha moment. Like
Mhm.
there's nothing like that. And whether it's, you're training people in computer stuff, or you're like, getting their books published, like, which is what I do now, or for you working with a client who's, working on themselves. And what is that like when you have somebody who has that aha moment, and that you were the catalyst? You're the catalyst, because they're the ones who make the change, affect the change, but you're the catalyst that helps them to see that moment. What do you experience when you go through that?
Well, and I've experienced that several times. It just brings a smile on my face. It just gives me certainty that I'm in the right place, that I'm supposed to be here. And so when I
Oh,
have those feelings of connection and I'm supposed to be here, then that's a place that I said, I'm here. Yeah, I'm in the right place. I mean,
do you
you
remember
hear
that
that. I
Yeah,
mean, you
go
hear
ahead.
that say, being in the right place. It feels like you've been in the right place.
Yeah, yeah. Now you've been doing the life coaching for a while now, and you want to share with us, like, what's one of your greatest achievements yourself, like with your clients, through this process of doing life coaching.
Well, the achievement for me is just creating more authenticity on myself. Who am I as a person and as a coach, and also as a teacher, which is something that I developed during the time that I started coaching. Is I started realizing that I'm not only just a coach, but I'm also a teacher of small groups and small classes. And so that's a transition that I made during this time. And I'm doing classes at San Diego Oasis and been doing 2 to 3 classes a month. And so they've increased to the time when I started with them in 2013. And so that gives me a lot of joy in knowing that, I'm reaching many people in different elements of personal development. And so that feels good for me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, somebody who's searching for their purpose, what would you recommend where would you recommend that they start?
Well, one of the things that I would recommend is, getting in touch with yourself. What really matters to you? What is the bottom line for you? How do you want to live? How do you want to live in the future and be there consistently? What are the elements that you want to live with? Like, for example, let me give myself an example. I want to experience more joy. That was a requirement that I told myself when I left work, my job as a team manager. I said, the next employment, whatever it is, I want to be where I'm experiencing more joy, creativity, and freedom, that I can choose what to do. And so if you can experience these qualities that you want, then, look, what are the qualities that you want to be with most of the time? Is it creativity? Is it freedom? What are they? Explore them for yourselves, and find a place that you experience these feelings. And that's the transition that you start developing and identifying, because as time develops, then you can start identifying what is that place that's going to bring these qualities out in you, an expression in you.
You got to sit
Yeah.
with it. You got to sit with it,
Mhm.
and look introspectively to see, what is that fuels you. I
Yes.
remember, for me, I had been a people pleaser for so many decades that I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what joy was to me. And it was through working with my own life coach that helped me to discover that, like, that this is something that actually brings me joy, and then to do more of that. And so it's a process. It's a process. A lot of times we do need that person on the outside who can, see in us what we don't see in ourselves. And so, like, I know as myself, again, as being my own worst enemy for many, many decades, it's hard to find the good in ourselves when we're so busy beating ourselves up for everything. And so, definitely want to connect with Laura. You can find her at inharmonycoaching.com. If anything she said has resonated with you, please reach out to her. And then, Laura, you want to talk about, you have a free gift. Your free gift is a copy of your book, Choose Confidence. You can get a copy of that at actiontakerspublishing.com www.actiontakers.com/purpose. So why don't you tell us about your book and like why we should go, click that download link.
This is a book that I put together in 2021, I believe, and it's a book that I put different small chapters about confidence, because confidence was a big challenge for me. It was huge for me. I did not feel confident during my college years or early years that I started working as a professional. So this was number one for me to overcome before everything else developed. But when I chose confidence, that I wanted that, then all kinds of development happened after that. And so I speak in different little chapters or small little articles how I chose confidence in different areas. It really helped me develop as a person and professional.
Awesome. So go get your free gift at actiontakerspublishing.com/purpose. And then while you're over there, also, you'll get a copy of the book. We have we're talking today about the book, Finding Your Purpose. Go get your copy of the book as well when it's available. Get your name on our list, because when the book does become available, we want to make sure that you get a copy of that. So I want to thank you, Laura, so much for being here today, being part of this book, Finding Your Purpose, Living on Purpose Rather Than on Accident. Why don't you share with the readers, like, what would you like them to take away when they read that book, Finding Your Purpose?
Is listen to yourself. Sometimes we do have nudges. We do have certain ideas that come to our mind that are suggestive of something else that's good for us. Sometimes listen to yourself and be courageous about taking at least just one little step and explore it a little bit.
Take that one step. Yep. Yeah. Listen to yourself. I love that. Laura, thank you so much for being part of this. If you're watching all the way to the end here, please go over to our YouTube channel. It's at Action Takers Publishing, and go ahead and follow us there, or subscribe, or whatever it is you do over there on YouTube. We'd love to have you over there. Laura, again, thanks so much. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to seeing you in more books that we're putting together.
Thank you, Linda, for having me.
It's so powerful for those of you watching that maybe haven't, like, you've got the bug to write, but you're super scared. Collaboration books are an incredible place to start. And just to plug Action Takers a little bit, I don't know about other publishers. They're the only one I've ever worked with, but they've made it so easy. Like, you literally write your chapter and send, and then it's like all the work is done.
I know.
That's literally all you do.
And then you're connected with all these other amazing women who are like-minded.
Stories and journeys, and yes,
they have made it so easy. So shout out to Linda and to Sally for just really creating this amazing space for us to use our voices.
Yes, I love it so much. That's amazing.